I remember going to a colleague's, her husband died, and I went to the funeral. All of us from the bank went to the funeral, and probably a good guy, but the most they could say about him is that he was a good golfer, or he liked golf, and he liked to drink a lot.
Wow.
And so I said, and that was it. And I came out of that going, that's me.
Wow. Wow.
I like golf, and I like to drink.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm a bad guy. Doesn't mean that guy's a bad guy.
Yeah.
But is that what you want to leave behind?
Yeah.
That's it?
Wow.
That's what you're gonna do?
Yeah.
So that was a moment. Again, you can have these moments, but you gotta trigger an action. But again, when you're stuck, how do you get out of it?
Welcome world, welcome family to another episode of the EL2A Podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Gilmore Jr. And to the right of me, we got a very, very special guest. Let me read a few off. He's the Senior Vice President and Market President of the North Central Florida at Cogent Bank. 30 plus years of experience in commercial banking. Worked in leadership roles at regional and large banks, and he joined Cogent in 2023. Those are just his working experiences. He's more than that, and we're gonna learn about the man, the myth, the legend here, Mr. Nick Blaser. How you doing today,
Where did
brother?
You find out all that information?
You
about
know,
me?
the world wide web. You know what I mean? and we have this new thing called ChatGPT.
That sounded like a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff, but I appreciate that.
So 30 years, brother. There's a lot to dig from. Obviously, but again, that's professional, right?
Right.
We have a professional life, then we have a personal life.
We do.
And we're gonna be able to learn the man, the person that's behind all these cool things, these accolades that we see. So I appreciate you for opting into this experience to sit down with me, and just thanks for being here with me today, brother.
No, listen, I appreciate it. I'm glad we connected. You had Tom Ingram on your podcast,
Yep.
who was a colleague of mine and a big inspiration. You also had Adrienne Bond, and we're connected with her, and she's an inspiration. And I just saw what you were doing downtown with the Run Club and all those runners and motivation, and I said, I got to meet that guy.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you having me here.
I appreciate you, brother. We're gonna have us a good one. But before we get there, one thing I always tell our viewers, man, this is a cool thing that they can do, right? And it's free $99. And what that is click that like and subscribe button right now. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment on this episode. It also obviously helps our platform go further. But this young man is gonna say some cool things you're gonna like. So make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. On top of that, Cut Different Academy coming soon, 2027. What's up, EL2A family, man? Come invest in the futures that are going to change the world. What you see here right now, man, we are reimagining education, right? We are giving these young boys and showing them who they are and where they're going. We're creating a school-to-career pipeline, and it's happening right here on this property, man. So let's go, EL2A family. We're going to have a QR code that pops up. You scan that code, all right? And it's going to take you and tell you everything you need to know to come help us invest in the futures that's going to change the world. Let's go. Yeah. Come to help us invest in the futures that are going to change the world. All right, we're teaching young people who they are and where they're going and giving them a clear path to success. So make sure you guys scanning that QR code to come help us, a community, right? We're going to do this thing together. But speaking of, I just named out all these things, right? All these cool things that you've done, 30 years, people hit a role, VP, president, and that usually signifies that something special or is about this person, right? But a lot of people see you for who you are now, but it was a journey, right? There's a journey for you to get here. I say there's two questions in life you have to answer. Who am I and where am I going, right? That's my recipe for success. Learning now, who am I and where am I going? But I want to take it back a little bit, right? I want to go back in time and I want to see what was the little Nick like the guy that, when you were young and you dreamed and you wanted to be those things. Take me back. So who was that guy, the little guy, the little Nick? Who did he grow up? Who was he and who did he want to be?
I heard you call me a young man just a few seconds ago. I appreciate that. I don't feel like a young man right now with this knee brace on. But yeah, so listen, I had a pretty unique childhood. My parents, I was born in New Jersey. I'm a 70s kid, born in 1970. My dad was a contractor. We lived in New Jersey. And then my dad, someone showed him some property in the Bahamas, in Freeport, Grand Bahama. of all places. And he sold everything in New Jersey and moved us to the Bahamas.
Okay.
So at 5 years old, I moved with my parents, of course, to the Bahamas. And that's where I did all my schooling. So it was unique in the fact that I am, an American boy on a small island, and just really living a life that I knew nothing different from that. So when I look back at it now, I'm a lot more thankful for it. But at the time, it's like you don't know what you don't know when you have it.
Yeah, I'm thinking. So 5 years. So you say 5 years old when you went.
5 years old when I went. So all my schooling from first grade to graduating high school.
Yeah. So that's a lot of what you know. Because I was trying to think of the perspective of someone from here moving to the Bahamas, but at 5 years old, you really don't know.
You don't know any different.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know. It was just a normal life. Now that I really look back at it, it was a fantastic life my parents provided me. It was a loving home.
Yeah.
My mother and father owned a 12-unit apartment complex on the water. They had a boat. We went fishing. We had people who lived in the apartment complex, and we socialized with them every day. And the schooling was a wonderful schooling system. The Bahamas had a wonderful education system. The Bahamas was owned by England until 1973. So that English system was still in at that time, and so it was a high level of education. Again, these are things I didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
But now that I look back, I'm appreciative of it. And so, it was a great life.
Yeah. So
Spoiled. It was a little spoiled.
Well,
a little spoiled.
Yeah. So
Given everything.
for sure. So I'm trying to. So pure ignorance and pure curiosity. Once you leave and go to the Bahamas, my idea of the Bahamas, right? You become the minority in that situation, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're growing up around a lot of people that look
Reverse
different.
discrimination.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking
And
about. So talk about
and
it.
I didn't know that until I moved back to the States.
Okay.
I just felt like I was one of the Bahamians, but I was a white boy.
Yeah.
I was a white boy.
Yeah.
But I didn't see myself. I didn't see black or white. But there was reverse discrimination where I was. There was confrontations.
Yeah.
I'm the white boy. Go home. That kind of stuff. Right. I felt that.
Yeah.
So I felt that, and so when I came to the States, when I saw that reversed, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't like that the way that was.
Yeah. Did you have to knuckle up a little bit?
I did have a knuckle up, but I knew my role too. I was smart.
Yeah. I'll take the opponent. But,
Okay. I'll walk away.
You got it. Right?
I'll walk away.
You got it. Smart man. But even thinking about just going into the experience a little more. So what, I guess, if any, big challenges that you had growing up again in this tough environment that you are, I guess, again, young, so you grew up into it. But what were the challenges growing up, being from American, but growing up in the Bahamas?
I don't know if it's any different than because I moved from America to the Bahamas. I think we all have our challenges as youth. Again, I'm a 70s kid, right? And being a 70s kid is different than being a 90s kid. It's different being the 2010 kid, and what your parents' generation taught you. So my parents were very free with letting me do what I wanted to do, and that's good to a point. But sometimes you don't. You need your parents to kind of teach you some things, right? And again, they taught me a lot of things, but the other life stuff, girlfriends, sex, drinking, all the things that you don't know what you don't know, and you're just trying to learn as you go through your youth from your friends, right? Which is tough. So I don't think there was a big America to the Bahamas switch, because again, I'm 5 years old to 17 years old. That stretch there is when I lived there, and you just fall into the same thing all our youth fall into. You're growing up through school. Yes, your parents are forming boundaries, and my parents were great parents. I'm not saying they didn't teach me anything, but again, it's a 70s kid. Parents were different back then. They didn't talk about certain things. And when you had freedom, and back then you had more freedom than you do now, you could ride your bike to school, and you could leave at 8 a.m. one morning, and your parents say, "See you at dinner, see you at 5, and not know where you are, right? Those were different days. You can't do that these days because of everything that's going on in society, right? So we had a lot more freedom, but with freedom comes the possibility of getting in trouble and doing those things. And I knew, and I did not get in trouble. I was a good kid. we all kind of, test those boundaries once in a while, but I still had that guilt, and I knew what was right from wrong. And, I went to, being in the Bahamas, all the schooling was private schools, Christian-based. So Lutheran school, Anglican school, that's what I went to. So we went through Mass every week. And so I believed in God, and I believed in Jesus Christ as my Savior, but from a distance. I wasn't deep in it. My parents really didn't go to church, but I went to these schools, and we took religion classes. And so we dove into the Bible, but again, on the outside, not deep. And again, when you're an adolescent, you really don't know what you don't know. You know there's something, but you're not deep in it. So, but that little boundary there also made me not do the wrong things too.
Yeah. So it's funny. You keep saying a lot about your parents. You keep talking about adolescents. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
In the space we in, right? We work with young people, So every day or every other day, we have these young people coming in and out of our doors. We have an onboarding processes where we're meeting new families.
Right.
And everybody's experience of how they see life is different, right? Everybody has their own thing going on, their own trauma, their own hurdle.
Right.
And there's just so much going on, right? So everybody's experienced life differently. These things are affecting people differently. I think back to even my own experience. I'm a product of teenage parents, right? So I grew up with my parents. I knew what that experience was like. But I had that foundation of having two parents, right? I grew up with two parents. That's a different experience from someone that only was brought up in a single parent household.
Correct.
I say it to say my foundation comes from my parents, right? A lot of my beliefs, a lot of the way I saw life came through their lens. I asked that to wonder for yourself, who shaped that for you? Was it the persons like your parents, or whether their experience shaped your view on life at an early age?
Yeah, my parents obviously had a big impact on my life. The way they lived and the way they, the way they carried themselves. They were happy people, and they were loving, very loving family. Again, not very Christian based internally. They believed, but they, it wasn't strong. So I had to lean on, my teachers. In school, we had a great pastor in both the schools, and so I'd lean on them. And really, you're also leaning on your older friends that you might have. Again, it may not be right or wrong, but you have to lean on somebody too. So, I mean, that's really what. And again, you're talking about 5 years old to 17 years old. Up until you're 12 or 13, you're just kind of, again, you're just going through the motions, and then you're starting to girls and studying, and I got to go to college, and what am I going to do, and those types of things. Then you're starting to lean on people more,
Yeah. At a young age, my pursuit was the NFL, right? That was my thing. Football, sports was my thing.
At what age?
From since I can remember. Since I picked up a football, when I turned the TV on, that's where I seen the most people that look like me. That's what, they make a lot of money.
Yeah, right.
And all these cool things. So my dream was going to the NFL. That's all I ever really want to do, especially at a young age. For yourself, what was that thing for you? What did you?
I wish I had a thing, right? I knew I was good at sports early on. Had a good eye and feel for sports, so I played a lot of soccer. So in the Bahamas, again, think about it, England owned the Bahamas, so a lot of the sports were hovered around what you would find more in Europe. So soccer was a big deal. We didn't even have football there. We didn't have baseball, not even basketball much, right? But so I played a lot of soccer. I played soccer in youth. I played soccer for my high school. We won our championship. But I also started playing golf. A friend of mine introduced me to playing golf at 12, 13 years old. We lived near a golf course. I loved it. I loved it, right? And anything I do, I seem to want to do until I master it. And so at the age of 15, I qualified with, there was a bunch of youth golfers, and we could qualify to represent the Bahamas in I think it was the Atlantic Junior Championship. I don't know if it was of the world, but it seemed like of the world. And they would fly you to Bermuda to play in this golf championship. Well, I qualified. So white boy from America is representing the Bahamas as one of the golfers, and I was the flag bearer.
Oh man, look at that.
Imagine that.
They like, who's this
So
guy?
they flew me to Bermuda, and anyway. So listen, golf was fantastic, and then at 16 years old, I started weaning off of golf, but I never had that. I want to be that. I just didn't.
Yeah.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
Right. You can't expect everybody to have that. I want to be that. I didn't even know, even coming out of college.
Yeah.
Well, what was it? What am I going to be? I knew what I was good at, but did I like it? And we can get into that too.
And that's what, because I was even going to ask too, with this golf thing, if you're good enough to go be the face of a country, of a place, you choose to what makes a person.
So here's the thing, right? So that's where you may want a mentor, or your parents may want to push you to see how far you can go to that extreme. We were just talking about Adrienne Bunn. If not for her parents, she's not getting where she got to. And I'm not saying my parents didn't encourage me, but it wasn't a driving force. It was do whatever makes you happy, right? And that's true.
Yeah.
But you can also put things in motion to see how far it can go for the child. And so when I stopped playing golf, a lot of people were disappointed. They're like, man, you could really be something. You can be somebody in this sport. And I just didn't want it because no one was really saying why, I just didn't feel it.
Yeah.
And so, again, maybe I wish I had that, but I obviously, and this, we never look back and go, if I could have, all that happened for a reason.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
So I was meant to not do that. But I will tell you, when we get back into more, when I'm in my 30s and 40s, I started playing again. I started playing competitively in Ocala, and that opened up a whole world for me as well. So.
So, and it makes me think back to that 16-year-old boy, again, just for help for what we do today, right? Were you craving? So the lack of support, was that more so pushing you to not feel it than your individual person just not feeling? Or you like, nobody cares, so I'm not gonna care?
I got burned out.
Okay.
So, and that's easy to happen, right? And so when you get burned out, what's the, is there a foundation to say, okay, step back from it now, and then, if you want to get back into it, get back into it. I didn't have anybody kind of giving me that education of, or that drive, I guess. I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly, but there wasn't anybody really guiding me to that. It was, well, if you're burned out, do something else.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. So burnt out, 16. So around this time, you're 2 more years, you're 18, right? We're moving on in life. So where did your mind go from there at this point? So obviously you're high school now, you got college as a thing. Like, what was the mindset? Well, okay, golf is not a thing. So what's next?
You're right. So really, it's now you're 16 years old. You're liking girls. You're liking Bahamian girls.
Yes,
and so, and I liked going out dancing, and I liked partying with my friends, and, again, not super getting in trouble, but just doing the typical teenage stuff and branching, right? And so, here's the thing, Jamie, there was no drinking age in the Bahamas. There is. Officially there is. 18 years old is the drinking age, but it's unofficial. My parents, they had social hour from 3 p.m. on down at the pool, and it was a wonderful thing. It was grown-ups, their kids in the pool, and it was a wonderful social hour, and it was social drinking, and it was social fun. They'd play games, and that's the life I grew up with, on the water. It was nice. And so, there were times I'd go out at 14 years old with my buddies, and we'd go to the club and we'd go dancing, and we'd drink, which, now that I look back at it, at the time it was just normal, right? This is a normal thing, we see it all the time. And so, again, not getting in trouble, but just living that kind of life. And so there was no really direction as far as, but I was doing well in school. I knew I had to go to college, if not for my mom really pushing it, getting into college. And it was a little challenging because, again, what the education system in the Bahamas is a lot different from America. America focuses on SAT. At that time, SATs were the thing to get you into college. In the Bahamas, it was GCEs. And so, and they're very, very difficult exams. And I took them, but I knew I was going to an American college. You usually take GCEs to go to a Commonwealth college. I wasn't going to a Commonwealth college like Canada or England. I was going to America, back to America. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take my SAT because that's what America wants. But my education wasn't geared towards SATs. So all that to say is I didn't do well on my SATs. So now I'm trying to get into college and I can't get in, right? But I'm smart in my school. But anyway, so I was fortunate enough to get into Jacksonville University. And we were super happy about it. But what was cool was when I went to Jacksonville University, the first year of my education there, I had already done in high school. That's how good the education was in the Bahamas. So now that was the drive, right? Get into college. Again, I come from the generation of, hey, get a good education, get into college, get a degree, get a job, find a wife, have kids, keep God centered, right? Have a good life.
Success.
Right, okay. So that's the formula, right? Life doesn't end up that way sometimes. You can make that happen, but you don't have a drive for anything special, right? And I think a lot of kids don't know what they want to be. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
I don't know.
Trick question.
So what am I good at?
Yeah.
So when I went into college, I was very good at math, right? And when I went into college, I took business courses, and I was going to be an accountant, so I did accounting. And when I did all the hard accounting courses, and I'm like, man, is this what I'm going to be an accountant? It's really tunnel vision stuff. To me, it wasn't sexy enough. So I branched out into finance and numbers, and I got a degree in finance and out of college.
So at this point in your life, right, and you kind of shed light on it, what the mind frame was. You go to school, get married, have kids. So you at this point, you get out of college, your finances, your thing.
Going through the motions.
Right? But what is success in that point of your life? Like what's success to you in that point of your life?
I didn't know, right? So then I got out of college and I had a great college career. I was a cheerleader in college, which was really, really cool.
You actually look like a cheerleader.
I'm telling you, Jamie, cheerleading changed my life. It was one of those pivotal parts of my life. That first year of college was very dangerous. Drugs, alcohol, everywhere, right? And I came from the Bahamas where we didn't have a lot of drugs. We had a lot of alcohol, but drugs and alcohol introduced immediately. And I was getting caught up in it. Still a good student, still a good person, but you get caught up into that party life, right? And so a friend of mine saw me. He said, Nick, he says, he was a cheerleader. He goes, you need to straighten up. So this was a God moment, right? You straighten up and you need to find something. Because again, I'm going through the motions. I'm just going to be good at school, get a degree, and party. And he said, you need to come out to the cheerleading tryouts. I'm like, I ain't doing it.
That's great.
I won't be no cheerleader.
You've never done this before?
Never. But I was athletic enough to go, okay. And he's like, just come on out to practice. Come on. So I went out to practice. Now I'm around beautiful people with a different mindset and positive attitudes. And next thing you know, I'm throwing stunts with girls, and I'm like, where do I sign up? So anyway, I made the team, and it really changed my life. Changed my life, like we're going to talk about in a bit. That was one part. I could have been stuck in that rut, thinking I'm going through the motions of getting a degree, of falling into a hole in the drugs and alcohol.
I think a big point at this point, what allowed you, what was it that made you answer that call? So, because again, you had the person that's guilt.
Okay.
Talk to me.
Again, so you still, as free as my parents were, I still had the guilt of disappointing my parents. You always have that. We all have that, right? Hopefully we have that.
Right, for sure.
And God, right? If you believe, you believe, and you have that guilt of I'm doing something wrong, and I need help, and you can get caught up in it easy. So that was it. I wanted to be a better version of me, and make my parents proud.
What did you get out of that experience? So if you think about a experience in total left field, I'm pretty sure from what I'm getting, you never thght you would be cheerleading.
No.
Now you're cheerleading. What did now looking back, what did you gain from that experience?
Again, teamwork, right? People that didn't do drugs and alcohol, right? So you get yourself out of that environment, then you start to live a more positive life, positive frame of mind, best friends, even to this day, from that experience. What it made me do is you got to understand, I lived on an island from 5 years old to 17. I moved to America at 17 years old with no family here to Jacksonville, Florida. I had a friend who had lived there, but I didn't really know anybody. 17 years old. Jacksonville was like, whoa, it's a big, even just going to the mall back then was like, whoa. And so, that first year when I was just partying up and was in a fraternity, that was my world. And then I joined cheerleading, and then my world expanded, right? Now I'm traveling, games, meeting basketball players, meeting influential people. So now I'm growing. Because I was very immature. Again, growing up in an island, book smart, but not really life smart. And so that just kind of opens up that world. And yeah, that's how it happens, right?
Exposure. So you're being exposed. So a lot of my experience leaving Ocala, I chose to go to Philadelphia for school because I felt Ocala didn't partake from me at an early age. So I wanted to get further away if I could from here. Just simply me going up there changed my life, right? And I hear this in your experience, right? The exposure piece of you're getting exposed, and now it's like, dang, I didn't know that, I didn't know this. And you're learning, you're gaining knowledge through this experience. But one thing I was thinking about, so you have to catch me up. So my college experience, I went to college, I did undergrad, I went to grad school. So you're doing 6 years of school. And I was an athlete most of that. 5 of those years I was an athlete. So again, thinking of going to the NFL, I do all this college experience and now I'm done and I'm still lost. I'm like, what do I do? Like, what? Like, what now? And I have a master's degree. So I'm a black man with a master's degree. If you look at the statistics, so I'm thinking I'm high almighty. Like, I should be able to do anything, but I'm lost, right? So kind of catch me up on you. So you did cheerleading, now you get ready to grad.
Right. So
what was it?
You're right. Same moment. It's like, when we all graduate, it's all, everybody's happy. See you later. Love y'all. Where am I going? Right. It's, most kids go back to home and they find a job. I can't go back home. I can't go to the Bahamas because I can't work in the Bahamas. I had to stay in America. Well, I had a girlfriend at the time of my senior year. She was in my college, and then she moved up to Pittsburgh. She moved up to Pittsburgh to go to a college up there. And so I told my parents, I'm going to move up to Pittsburgh and live with her up there. And they're like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do it. Don't do it, son. I'm just going to do that. I'm going to find a job. I got a finance degree. But seriously, Jamie, I didn't know what I wanted to be. I still don't know what I want to be. I know what I'm good at, and I probably can be good at anything, but I didn't have a dream. I didn't have a drive to be something. But I'll find something, and I'll be good at it. And so, again, 21 years old, graduated college. Again, young college grad, young 21, and now I want to follow a girl. I'm in love. Love, right? And so, as much as that was discouraged, I did it anyway. So I had about $3,000 saved up, drove up there, and wanted to find a job. But again, it was one of those experiences that I would never take back. It was a mistake, right? But it wasn't a mistake. In fact, I talked to one of my best friends today who lives in Pittsburgh, who I met when I went up there. And anyway, so I moved up there, and I did everything from sell kitchen knives door to door. This is 1991, so it's a little bit of a rough economy, but sold kitchen knives, sold life insurance, calling people at night, if they want a survey on life insurance. I was a fitness instructor at an all-women's gym, which is cool. I worked for a drapery cleaning place, making minimum wage $4.25. I had a finance degree. You have a master's degree, but I'm trying to get whatever I can get. Still don't know what I want to do, right? And so I was introduced to from my friend, who I told you I talked to yesterday, to a mortgage broker.
Okay.
So he says, hey, meet with this. So I started doing mortgages for this broker.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm doing mortgages for people.
Yeah.
I'm giving them their dream home by financing it. And I'm using my degree and numbers.
Yeah.
And I have a pretty good personality, so I can develop relationships. So it's right up my alley. But I found out things that the broker was doing that weren't really right things to do. And I was like, that's a little sketchy and I don't want to be a part of this. And by that time, she was finishing up school in Pittsburgh. I don't want to live in Pittsburgh, man. I love Pittsburgh. I'm a huge Steelers fan. I'm a huge Steelers everything, Penguins, Pirates, everything. I love it, but you can't get me to live in that weather.
For sure.
So it was a bad winter. And so we moved back down to Florida and I go, I want to do mortgages, but I want to do it for a bank.
That's up.
And I want to do that for people, but I want to do it for a bank legitimately, Not that she wasn't legitimate, but she was doing screwy things. So anyway, so we moved back to West Palm Beach. I ended up breaking up with my girlfriend there.
Darn it.
I know. I thought it would last forever. I moved to Pittsburgh for you.
Yeah, man.
And so, but I got my first banking job when I was 22 years old in 1992 at Barnett Bank in West Palm Beach in collections. Mm-hmm. So you got to get in however you got to get in.
Yeah. What was the year you say it was?
1992.
92. Okay.
So I get in there, and now I'm 22 years old, and I'm collecting on past due payments and on home loans and car loans. Mm-hmm. So I'm calling you up to collect. Why haven't you paid? And I'm not that kind of guy. I'm a giver. Mm-hmm. I'm not a confrontational taker. So in any event, and stop me when you want to, but basically that was the beginning of my banking career.
Yeah, I like it. And I like what we start right here, because what type of man, because again, you broke up, so you're single at this time, right?
Yeah, so here's a God moment for you. Okay. So I was living with her and her mom and her stepdad. And I was working before I got the bank job, they were CPAs, and I was working in their office. So my whole life hovered around her, right? I was in love with her more than she was in love with me, right? So what happened is the stepfather knew that she didn't like me as much as I liked her. Wow. So he pulled me aside and goes, hey, Nick, he goes, you need to go become a man, go become your own man.
Wow.
He goes, I'm encouraging you to get your own job, get your own apartment, and go live your life.
That's dope.
Right. And so I'm glad I remember that, because that's another moment. And that's where I finally got control over my life, because I was just hovering around her, just falling, doing. So anyway, that's where I got my own job. I got my own apartment. Boom.
But that speaks volumes of whoever this gentleman was, even for that.
Correct.
Moment, you know what I mean? To do something like that too.
Right. Again, right. Wow. Just a moment.
Yeah.
These are moments that people don't realize that are changing your life forever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And now you take ownership of your situation.
My friend about cheerleading. This gentleman about that life, and there's more to come.
Yeah, no, we going but even now, so in this moment, so a lot of my identity, if you think about a person that's lost, and my identity came from the game of football, right? You would ask me who I was, I said I'm a football player, right? So I'm thinking more identity now. In this season, you just told me your life was wrapped around this young lady, right? Was your identity wrapped into that? So now you're getting pulled away from that. Who is Nick? Like, how do you think of yourself? Are you a bank? Like, I'm a bank? Like, where was your identity?
Still, I don't know. Right? Still, I don't know. I'm just going to go be good at this, and I need to make some money.
Yeah.
Right. I need to pay for my rent now, and I got a car loan. This is all starting stuff, right? So you're starting to get into financing stuff. I have responsibility. Now I have responsibility.
Yeah.
Right. Again, I don't have parents to lean back on. I can, but they're in the Bahamas. Financially, I didn't ask for any money, and now I'm living my own life, which is really cool. It's first independence. But now I'm like, okay, I want to be a mortgage. That's why I joined the bank. Yeah. I didn't want to be in collections. I'm glad I was in collections. As miserable and as uncomfortable as that was, it made me a better person and a better banker. Yeah. Again, one of those things where you hate, but it was the best thing you could have ever done. Yeah. So for 8 months, after 8 months, I saw a job opening at Barnett Bank in the Florida Keys in Key Largo. And so, or Fort Lauderdale. So it was either Fort Lauderdale or Key Largo. And I go, living in the Keys would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm an island boy.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, flew me down, got the job. So now I'm moving, 23 years old, moving down to, I'm going to be the mortgage loan officer for Barnett Bank of Key Largo, Tavernier, and Islamorada, the Upper Keys.
Let me stop you here.
Yep.
So what I'm seeing, I'm seeing a person that's you're through not, because still at this point, I'm feeling like you're saying you're just really going with the wind, not knowing. But
I got a taste of what I thought I liked in Pittsburgh as that mortgage loan officer, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to get that,
Yeah.
and now I got it.
But what I want to hit home at is the what was it about you that still allowed you to keep going? Again, the girl that you thought you wanted, that missed,
right?
But you move on and you do it. Then you go to job. You say you didn't really like it, but you something still in you that's allowing you to keep. Because there's somebody who's watching this, right? And they're in tough situations that make them want to just give up or stop. In these tough times that kept pushing forward. What it is about Nick that allowed him to do that?
You know, I never really thought about that, especially at that time. But again, I think it's the wanting to make your parents proud, wanting to be successful at something. Again, at 21 years old, you still don't, and 23 years old, you think you know, but you don't know. And I just had the drive. I was getting more and more of the drive. I didn't have a lot of drive because I was given everything. I was, for the most part, I just needed to study and get good grades, but I was given everything. So that's just a product of me. So, so now I'm having to learn
how to go get it,
discipline and going to get it. And so now I was just going to get that, and you know, and then I still have the I want to have fun. That doesn't leave you. The party and stuff never leaves you, right? It's still there. And then you get reintroduced to it as a 23-year-old. Now I'm earning money and I'm socializing, social responsibility, but still, you know, trying to find a girlfriend too, right?
Yeah. What is it about these girls
again?
Man?
Right, well, I don't know.
What is it about these?
I don't know. It was the whole formula of trying to find a wife and have kids and live your life. I mean, you know.
And that's cool. That's crazy. Like the correlation back to that, right? Because we started off there, and that is kind of the success part of it.
So that's the drive. Get a job that you like.
You got the
hopefully.
Job. Now you got to find
get the girl. Get the house.
Wow.
I got the house before I got the girl.
But now that goes back. If you really think about what you're saying right now, brother, that goes back into the unlearning to relearn type of mentality. Because there's a lot of programming, some for the good, some for the bad.
Correct.
That we have from these adolescent ages that we carry along with us. And you can see, again, that wasn't a bad formula, right? But that was for a different time.
That was a different time.
So we can't be trying to do the same thing.
No,
you know
right.
What I mean? So that's
correct.
Yeah.
I wish, you know, I look back, I wouldn't change a thing in my life, bad, good, indifferent. I ended up here today. It's a beautiful life, but I do, you know, when you look back, you go, you wish you maybe had made some different decisions. But I didn't have that in me yet.
Yeah.
It took a long time for me to have what I have today. And so it's building slowly. You know.
So you kind of spill. So you got the job. I heard you say you got a house, and then a lady came about somewhere, another one, right?
Yeah. So my girlfriend, I met a girl, and the long and short of it is we ended up getting engaged down there. And I had my job, and again, now starting this little life I've created in my mind to have. And so it was beautiful. You know, when you're in love, it's beautiful. And we ended up getting married in the Bahamas, going back to the Bahamas, getting married where I grew up. And then she had horses. So she was a horse lover. She had a couple of horses in the Keys. And I loved riding horses. It was really, really cool. And so we wanted to branch out and get out of the Keys. And my job started to evolve and change, and I wasn't quite excited about it as much as I was. Things were changing. Banks change and grow and evolve, and when they do, sometimes it affects your ability to provide the financial services you want to for your clients. And so that happens, and you're like, hey, I got to do this somewhere else. But in any event, we wanted to then, hey, let's get out of the Keys. Let's find a place where we can, develop our family and find another job. And so why Ocala, right?
Yeah.
Why Ocala? So here's, the same dude that told me to go to cheerleading tryouts, worked for E1. He was an engineer.
Okay.
So he graduated. He went to the University of Florida, ended up going to the University of Florida, graduating, and then coming back to, he grew up in Ocala, Lecanto, and he had a job at E1. And where are horses, Jamie?
Yeah.
In Ocala.
I didn't know that, but they are here.
So I was like, let me call up my friend Tommy up in Ocala. So anyway, I met with Tommy, and I met with banks here in Ocala, and I started looking for property for horses, acreage, and I ended up getting a job at a bank, and we moved here.
Yeah.
We moved here in 1996. We got married in 96. We moved up here in 96.
Yeah.
It's coming together, Jamie.
Life's great.
The formula.
Life's great.
Right?
You're doing your thing, man.
So listen, it was wonderful, right? When you look back, it was wonderful at the time, and the job was still again, one of those things where I'm in a job where I'm good at it, but I didn't have a why, a purpose. Why am I doing this? It's really just to make money, develop relationships, and be good at it, right? But again, that's a young frame of mind.
Yeah.
And I'll pause there.
No, you're all good, because this is even think about to this point now. You're saying you don't have the why, right?
Right.
So this is another educational moment, right? Because you could be doing great in life, right? You could be in the good position job, making money. But after a while,
it's not meaningful.
Talk to me about, so what's the importance of having meaning, Dan?
You don't know at the time, right? You're like, well, I'm doing good, and we're gonna have a family, and so let's have kids. And I think what was happening is the life stresses start to happen, right? And you probably talk about this with youth, and I do as well. You don't want to scare people that are getting married, but it's hard, right? And so it's all great when it's fresh and new, but when you have children and when you have finances and responsibilities and pressures, that's where you got to lean on something strong, right?
Yeah.
And really have good communication in your relationship. And it's very, very challenging. And so the pressures of more stuff, right? More horses, more newer cars. You need to make more money. So I love my job, but it was never enough. So I would have to push the envelope to find more pay, and maybe I'm pushing it too much, and then I go to another bank because they'll pay me more, Jamie, and then I'll be happy because I'm getting paid more, and then I can afford more for what we want, right? And so, but once you get more, once you get paid more, you spend more. So there was never that discipline. And it comes from both sides too. I'm not going to blame my wife, my now ex-wife, for that. I'm not going to blame her for that because I let it happen. And it's just, you want to give, you want to be happy. So you just keep doing, but you get into these financial constraints. And now you have kids. Now we have 2 kids. When you have 2 kids, that's even more stressful, right? But we were good. We were great parents, right? But what was happening was we were getting pulled apart because I didn't want, the horses became a big thing. It became too much, but I didn't want to ruin everything. I didn't want to change anything. You get scared, right? You're almost stuck in this thing where you can't get out of. You're not super happy internally, and it's not meaningful, but you're going through the motions of it all. Love your kids. I love my kids, and I love my ex-wife, but I wasn't happy.
So tell me this, you mean to tell me that getting more money didn't make you happy?
Imagine
So you
Right?
made more money and you still weren't happy. So because a lot of folks think that's the recipe, right?
No, and we hear the saying, money doesn't buy happiness. It was absolutely true. And I said it the other day with my wife, and I said it today, I think I did. And I said, but it makes things easier, but it doesn't make you happy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you don't know that until you know it.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't make enough money. So now I'm not happy at work because I don't feel like I feel like I need more. We need to make more, but you gotta earn that.
Yeah.
And so, then I go to another bank because that bank will pay me more, that kind of thing. And so you're not developing a good professional career that way.
Yeah. Chasing money.
You're chasing money.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change a thing. At the time, I would get what bank are you at this week, Nick?
No, they call you you was a bank.
I didn't like that.
Language.
Yeah,
you're a bank.
Right, that person. So I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Now that I look back at it, I'm glad I did all that because I found out the banks that I work for, big, small, medium, I found out how to do it better. What I liked, what I didn't like, how now that I'm a president of a bank, how I want my bank to run. So anyway, I wouldn't change that for a minute, but at the time it was very stressful because I'm just trying to make more money to support a lifestyle. And in any event, then comes listen, when you're a banker, again, social hour, again, I grew up with it. I've battled it. Social, you're a social alcoholic.
Yeah.
I'm functioning properly through the day and everything, I'm responsible and everything, but at the end of the day, I'm going out either with my buddies or with potential clients or contacts, and we're just going to go to the bar and have a few drinks, develop relationships. Because you do develop relationships, unfortunately, at a bar or at a restaurant a lot of times. And it's easy to do that, and people let their hair down when they drink, and you do form relationships, unfortunately, that way. And it's easy for business professionals. That's why they call it happy hour. And so you can get caught up into that. And listen, I loved it, but it got me away from what was going on, the other stuff, right? You're hiding from it. And slowly it becomes more and more, right? You don't want to,
No. So tell me this, because you did use the word stuck, something you felt stuck. And now feeling stuck and now using the bar as a relief from the stuckness or whatever you want to call
it. Fun, right?
The fun, you're trying to just escape what you got going on. When did you understand that, like, this wasn't a lot, like, this isn't where I need to be, right? Because again, there's one thing feeling stuck and acknowledging it and just staying stuck, but there's another thing in being stuck and saying, okay, this.
Yeah. No, again, the feeling of the first year of college, right? Guilt. Not being the best person I can be. And so there's trigger points, right? That happened. It was getting worse and worse. And so, but again, I'm holding it together. I'm a good father. I'm a good husband. We're becoming more roommates than anything, which is unfortunate. But, I love my wife. She's a good person. And, but I'm falling into this other area, right? Which I didn't like. I didn't like it, and I'd pray about it. And hey, something's got to change. I remember going to a colleague's, her husband died, and I went to the funeral. All of us from the bank went to the funeral, and probably a good guy, but the most they could say about him was that he was a good golfer, or he liked golf, and he liked to drink a lot.
Wow.
And so I said, and that was it. And I came out of that going, that's me.
Wow.
I like golf.
Wow.
And I like to drink. Doesn't mean I'm a bad guy. Doesn't mean that guy's a bad guy. But is that what you want to leave behind? That's it?
Wow.
That's what you're going to do? So that was a moment. Again, you can have these moments, but you got to trigger an action. But again, when you're stuck, how do you get out of that? So that was one moment.
I can't let you go past that moment. Come on, man. Come on. I can't let you breeze by that. We got to slow it down.
Cool. Yeah.
Listen to me. So you're literally at a funeral, right?
Yeah.
Life, death. We're
Right.
here for a little while.
Right. You go to a funeral, you get
Yeah.
a wake. Y'all been to a funeral?
But I'm telling you, you literally seen them describing the person that was in the casket,
Right.
and you felt
Correct.
like, wow, that's me. What did that do for you? Like what did that awakening? What did that
It's
do
just
for you?
another. It was in my back pocket now. That was in my back pocket of, man, I've got to do more than what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But how do you do that, right? What do you stop first? What do you change? What do you disrupt?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to disrupt stuff. It's scary,
It's scary.
right? It's hard to disrupt your marriage. It's hard to disrupt your children's life. It's hard to disrupt your job. If you have a mortgage or two car payments and credit cards, what you gonna do?
Yeah.
How are you gonna change that? So
Real life.
you can't just go boom. You could go boom, but you can't go boom. So you just kind of put that in your back pocket as, again, prayer moments of, hey, I need more than this. But what do? You end up going back into the same habit, atomic habit, right?
Yeah.
So, and then, so at that point, it's getting worse and worse. And I needed something more because I'm just waking up, going through the motions of stuff. Not in good shape. I wasn't in terrible shape, but I was 40 pounds heavier than I am now. When you drink, you eat bad, and you go to bed, you wake up, you feel bad, you struggle through the day. You still be successful. I was a successful banker.
Yeah.
I took care of my clients. I took care of everybody. I was a good guy. I wasn't a bad guy. I was just trying to find an escape. But I'd go, my excitement was after work, I'm going to go hang out with my buddies or go with clients. And anyway, but it was getting worse and worse. So I think this was in, 2012. So this is after the great, when the great recession came, 2008, 9, 10, as a banker, listen, as a business owner, forget me being a banker, business owners lost their whole business. People lost their homes. People lost a lot, right? Ocala lost a lot, for sure. So forget about me. But in my situation as a banker, it was very, very challenging because I had developed relationships with clients. Most of my clients were contractors, developers, real estate investment companies that hovered around real estate development, and most of them were going under. Yeah. And so now I'm back to my collection days. Having to have hard conversations, those kind of things. So at that point in time, that's a very stressful time, 2007, 8, 9, 10. And I'd said to myself, if I can make it through this as a banker, I can make it pretty much through anything. And so I just hold the line. But even that stress added to the stress, right? Now, the alcohol and that kind of stuff becomes more, again, still functioning and being able to do stuff. But so anyway, back to 2012, January, a colleague of mine came up to me. He goes, hey, Blaze. They call me Blaze. They say, Blaze, hey, let's do this Ocala 5K. I go, I hate running, brother.
Yeah.
I ain't running.
Yeah.
I can barely walk up to the second floor without breathing heavy. He's like, come on, it'll just give us something to do, something different, And I was looking for, again, I was praying about something. And I worked out weights and stuff, but I never did cardio. And he's like, let's do this. We'll train for 3 weeks. We'll go do the fight. Have you seen the medal that they get? Look at this medal. That was a thing. So this, again, God moment, right? Cheerleading guy, ex-girlfriend's dad, now my colleague at the bank. So I said, yeah, let's do it. So we did it, right? I was throwing up along the way, Anyway, we did the 5K, and I was like, that was really cool.
Yeah.
I actually did something, planned something, strategized for it, trained for it, and accomplished it. So right. Now, again, I'm doing that at work. And I'm doing that as a parent and as a husband in a way, but this was mine.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was something different about it. Yeah. So he goes, hey, let's do the Gate River Run, the 15K. It was about a month or two afterwards.
Are you still married at this time?
Still married. Yep. Still married. And so, I said, yeah, let's do that. So we did the Gate River Run in Jacksonville. I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
I started feeling better, but what was happening, Jamie, what was it doing? It was now something I had that was changing. First of all, it was changing my mindset, and it was also giving me an excuse not to go to the bar after work.
Yeah.
Right. So instead of going to the bar, I was running, training.
Yeah.
But what happens is when you have a circle of people, your friends, and you try to change what you do, and it affects them, where you're not hanging out with them anymore. Hey, where you at? What you doing? We miss you. You don't love us anymore. Those kind of things, right? That's tough, right? It happens to all of us if you're trying to be better.
Yeah.
Not that they didn't want me to be better. They just missed me. They love me.
Need you now.
One of my friends said, he goes, Nick, I know you need to do something more than just this. You can't just hang out in a bar 6 hours on a Sunday watching football.
Yeah.
There's more to life than that.
Yeah.
And I needed it. And he knew that too. And so the running, so we put stuff on our plate for running. And then we put on a marathon the next year. We had put the Disney Marathon on the calendar, so we had to train that whole year in 2012 for that. So that was
So first of all, we went from 5Ks and now you talk about
correct.
marathons.
So now I'm like,
you just
my friend, he was like, hey, let's do a marathon. Let's do a half marathon. Let's do the Goofy, which is the half marathon on Saturday and then the marathon on Sunday.
So
I'm in.
Yeah, y'all jump. But let me, before we get there, I got to ask you this because that's a crazy jump. But let me ask you this because the cool thing about what you just said, right? You found something that stretched you, right? Something that you were able to see, set a goal around it, strategize, and go see it through, right? In one part of your life, you felt stuck. And now in this other part of your life, you see the progress. You see yourself losing weight. You see yourself feeling better and all these different things. You said it on one straight, like your friends, the friends you had around you, right? They were kind of like, because we want you here. I have to think. So in the stuckness you felt in your marriage, did this, you bettering yourself, help that, or did it draw you further away from that as well?
Yeah, if I understand the question correctly, it started changing my mind. So it started opening up my mind and going, and again, these triggers of the funeral, and then my parents, my dad had Parkinson's. He's now in a nursing home. At that time, me visiting him in a nursing home, watching him just slowly die every day. That's a wake-up call. You go to a nursing home for a day, tell me how you feel coming out of there, right? And so now I'm running, I feel better, I'm losing weight mentally, physically, I feel better at work. But still, so now all the things you tuck back that you don't want to communicate in your relationship, maybe you feel more confident talking about it, kind of deal. It still was hard to talk. You don't want to break up. I didn't want to have a broken home. I didn't want to do that to my kids. And at that time, they're, I think 16, 17, 15, 16, 17, somewhere around there. And so I think, I know my wife could tell I was disconnected, disconnected. I was now, so do the marathon. Just a wonderful accomplishment. And, personally, and then I'm meeting new people. And then I meet a guy who says, hey, you can do I'm jumping a bit, but I'm coming back.
Yeah, no, you're good.
He says, I know your legs are hurt. He says, you should start riding your bike as a cross training to keep your cardio high and give your legs a break from the impact of running. So I started cycling, getting into a group, and loved it. I love cycling. Again, I love sports, right? And so I loved it. I loved bike riding in teams and groups and all that stuff. And so now I'm riding bikes and still kind of running a little bit. And then some guy goes, hey, you can do a duathlon where you can run, bike, run. You run, then you jump on your bike, and you run. Duathlon. I was like, man, that sounds cool. So that year I did my first duathlon, and I think I came last, but it was awesome. It was like they were taking the scaffolding down while I was coming through the finish line, but I was like crying, like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And I just loved it.
That's right.
All these things you fear, right? Do things you fear, you feel uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
And it becomes spiritual.
Yeah.
And so again, I'm doing these things, I'm meeting new people. Now I'm like, I meet a triathlete. I'm like, can you imagine if I could be a triathlete?
Yeah.
That'd be so cool. I can swim.
Yeah.
But I'm meeting people and I'm getting into I have new friends, new circles, and I'm evolving now as a man, as a person. And now I'm at that time I'm 42. It's unfortunate. Sometimes it takes that long, right?
Yeah.
42, 43, 44. And my wife knew I was growing away. She wanted this. I wanted this. And so she felt that, and she knew I was disconnected. And so that the divorce didn't happen yet, but it was, again, I didn't want a divorce.
Breaks up the dream.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. That's not the formula.
That's not the formula
that I was taught. And I didn't want that for my children either. But now I look back, it wasn't fair. It's not fair to everybody. So anyway, I'm just keep doing my thing. Now I'm going to be a triathlete. I got the job, good job. I'm still, working that out, developing relationships and succeeding on the job front. Not drinking anymore, healthy, feel great. And so now I'm going to be a triathlete. So without doing one triathlon a year ahead of time, I signed up for a half Ironman and a full Ironman. So I wanted to scare myself enough to do these things. And sometimes you have to do that because then you're going to plan for it, because I don't plan for failure. So now I had to start swimming and learning that aspects and riding at a higher level and running at a higher level. That's when I met Mark and trained with Mark. And so it was a wonderful experience leading up to it. My family was supportive, but it took a lot of time away from them too. But I was filling my time because I didn't want to get caught in that other stuff.
Yeah.
And I never felt better in my life. But I still had that stuff I'm not.
And this is the breakthrough part right here, right? And you just pointed to it because I was coming there. How you just we were on the trajectory of talking about all these new things you're achieving and trying to do, and then you came back and you came to the point where I was but I still have this stuff going on.
Still that bad feeling.
How does one, right? Because a lot of people have that stuff. Most people have that stuff, but they choose to bask in the stuff and allow that to say, I'm not going to do the triathlon. I'm not going to do all these things because of the stuff. You were saying, okay, I have this stuff, but my trajectory is this way.
Yeah.
How does one do that? Help the person that's watching this. How do I dismiss the stuff and continue to move forward?
Some of this sounds selfish.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's your life, my life.
Yeah.
And again, going back to the funeral, going back to my dad. Now my dad dies. Right 2017. And my mom died shortly thereafter. When your parents die, that's also a big trigger in your life of, these are the people that sometimes you don't want to do the wrong thing, like I said, because of guilt of what your parents are going to think. For sure. A lot of not getting divorced is because I don't want to disappoint my parents. They love my ex-wife. And so sometimes you don't do things because they're still there. You want to disappoint them. Now when they passed away, two moments is that at that time I'm almost, I'm 48, 49 years old. Well, I remember when they were 48, 49 years old, and that feels like a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
That feels like yesterday. So that means in a blink of an eye, I'm not going to be here very long, right? And so it goes back to, what am I going to do that makes a difference in my life and other people's lives? Because it's going to be a blink. So now my parents are passed, and it's a short life, and I watched my dad suffer, and I could be there. All of us could be there. So I wanted, this is my life. I should live my life. And so that moment along with my, what I'm doing. My wife could feel the disconnect, and honestly, she let me off the hook and basically approached me and said, I get it. Do you want out?
Yeah.
Which is a scary breakdown moment, right? Very, very hard and upsetting, and having to tell your kids, sit them down and say, hey, your mom and dad are going to separate and get divorced. Those are scary moments, right? And then going through the process of that. But I wanted to live a different life. I wanted more than what I was having. And again, that's a little bit selfish too. But on my end, the love wasn't there in the right way.
Yeah.
It wasn't fair to her to just go through the motions. You're going to go through the motions for the next 30 years. And people do that. I get that, because they're so scared to make that decision. For whatever reason. They just go through life a little bit vanilla and through the motions of it. And I think what the marathons and the triathlons gave me was this big excitement of life, of what I could possibly do. And that was maybe not holding me back, but it was, why am I living that way? I should be living a larger life.
Yeah. You kept saying selfish too. And as
you feel that way,
selfish, I'm thinking about it, right? And it's funny because I got the two people on my shoulder, right? The one side of me is here to tell you, say, it's okay to be selfish, right? He wants to say, like, we have to be selfish, right?
Right.
In order, if I can't be my best self, how can I be good for anyone else?
Right.
But then I have this other person on his other shoulder, right? And the thing that you said, the family, the kids. I just had my first son. I'm engaged now, so I'm going to marry this woman. And the last thing I can even fathom thinking of is not being with her and my son.
Right.
Right. So how do we juggle and balance the two? You know what I mean? I'm trying to put myself in the shoes.
No,
right now.
it's that's why relationships are very, very difficult.
Yeah.
That's why the divorce rate is so high.
Yeah.
Because when you're one person when you're 25 years old, and you're another person when you're 35 years old, and you're not, if you want to grow and evolve, some people don't care, and that's okay. There's no right or wrong answer what you want out of your life. If you just want to do the same thing over and over again, that's fine. I wasn't that person. I was starting to see what life could be.
Yeah.
Right. I was in control it felt like for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
I can control it. And I did. And all that happened, was really, all meant to be.
Yeah.
And listen, it was hard. It hurt my ex-wife. It hurt me. It hurt my kids.
Yeah.
But in the long run, it's best for everybody. And,
And I was just thinking about, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, when did you start feeling a sense of pride, right? Like, of obviously this endurance sports, like doing this thing is giving you a sense of pride on this, but you're still feeling stuck. But like, when did you start feeling that sense of like pride in it all, right? In the decision of moving on, in the decision of I'm moving forward.
Yeah.
And I would like to think you probably start feeling when, like, just talk to me. When did you start feeling like,
so what's next, right? So you have to work things out. And so, now I'm gaining more control over my financial situation, what's happening with my endurance racing. The lessons of that are mapping over to my professional career. Now I wanted more in my professional career. Because before I was still going through the motions. I was good at, I'm good at it.
Yeah.
Making money. I like people. I like helping people.
Yeah.
But now, I felt more of, I wanted more. I wanted to be a leader. I wanted to inspire people.
Yeah.
Right. I was inspired. I changed my life doing these things, and maybe I can do the same for other people. And so, as tough as all that was going through, then I meet my now wife, who is my friend, and she was in triathlon as well. And so we're becoming closer friends. We develop a triathlon club together because triathlon, inspired me to do, to open up my world And so I wanted to give that back. So we started a triathlon club together, and, you know, we ended up having 100 members there, and we're giving back to the community. And anyway, we're doing all kinds of great things. And so, you know, those are pride moments. And then just, you know, then becoming, I became the market president of Truist Bank at the time, my previous bank, which was a big deal. That was my first, you know, again, the gentleman that gave me the opportunity, my regional president who gave me the opportunity to be the market president, changed, you know, again, the God moment, changed my life. Finally someone, because I wanted to be a leader. I felt like I could be a good leader. But it's one of those things where you're like, well, you don't have any leadership experience. Well, how am I supposed to get it if you don't give me an opportunity?
Right on.
Right. So you're looking for that opportunity. Let me succeed or fail, and we'll see what happens. And so he gave me that opportunity, and that was a big deal. And so that was in 2009, at the end of 2019. So now you're ending 2020. COVID, right? But before COVID, so, you know, just a cool quick story is that, you know, so I did all these Ironman. So I did one Ironman every year for the last 10 years. All right. But in 2020, because I'm doing a marathon in the triathlon, I never really got the focus back on just doing a marathon, right? It's weird to say, right? But so I wanted to I wanted to qualify for Boston Marathon, which is a big deal, right? You got to qualify for Boston. Boston's epic. And so January 2020, I woke up the night before I did the Jacksonville Marathon, and I was sick. I was like, I don't really feel good, but I kind of took some Advil and I did the race, and I don't know what was in me, but I ended up running a 3:20 marathon. It's crazy. And unbelievable. Cried at the end. I couldn't believe it. I did this and I qualified for the Boston Marathon. And then the next week I was sick, like never sick before, like COVID sick, which I didn't know what COVID was at the time. So I always tell people, I ran the Jacksonville Marathon with COVID. You know, qualified for Boston. I don't know.
That's a feat. And I'm thinking about it as you're saying it too. So when you think about this endurance training, right? You go through this, and then on the other end of it, you get the promotion that you were looking for, right? Like this leadership thing that you said you want to do. So like, what did this endurance thing teach you about yourself? Because I feel like
confidence, you know, you know, you get confidence when you do things that are outside of your comfort zone and you fear. Do things you fear. Public speaking. This podcast. No, you know, it's not fear. It's anxiety. It's performance. I can't do that. Or, you know, those things that make you nervous when you do them. Right. It's like, wow, I did that. You're proud of yourself. You build confidence. You can do anything, really, you know? So that's really it is, and then it's, you know, you've got to train. These things just don't happen. So what's your plan? What's your strategy? I don't just jump into a triathlon. I don't just jump into a marathon. I'm training for 6 months. So it's the same with business. I'm not just now I'm a leader. Hey, you know, here's what we're going to do. You put a plan together, put a strategy together, put a culture together. You know, talk to people, develop relationships, all those things. So these things just don't happen. But you need the confidence, and you need, you know, you need to train. You need to train all the time for life, for everything.
What role did faith play in this whole situation? So you think about your story.
So right.
So you know, let me tell you this. You said in the beginning, you always had it, right? But you didn't really.
It was always in the It was always in the background, not in the foreground, which it should be, right? So you become, as you get older, again, now I'm 56, right? So, I know, right? Man, I know. You said young man earlier. No. So, you know, as you get older, and as you get closer to God, you know, you get closer to Jesus, and doing these endurance races, I can't tell you how many times, you know, you face adversity and overcome adversity, and there's spiritual moments in it. And I think that's the hook too sometimes. It's why people get addicted to endurance racing. Is because of that feeling of overcoming adversity and things you don't think you can do. And they're really spiritual God moments. And I'll cry in the middle of them thinking about it. And then I cry at the end. And, you know, I thank God for everything that he's given me. And so, yeah, you become a lot more spiritual as you get older too, as you see the end. I don't want to be down, but as you see the end of life near you, you know, if you got 20 good years left, you get a little closer. And then all those things I learned back in the Bahamas and religion class and giving myself up to Jesus Christ. And what does that mean when I did it? You know, when I did it was so long ago, but now I realize why that happened. Yeah. And then I surround myself with people and in the Church of Hope and people who have the same frame of mind. And so you become very much closer to God.
Cool thing about life, man, life's a journey, right? So I sat here and on the front end of this talk, I read out your accolades, your title, years of experience, and it sounded.
See how I got here? Yeah, that was easy.
That was cool, and it sounded like somebody was like, "That's what I want." But then you just laid out all those third of years, what was going on in the midst of all those years. And somebody may listen to this and say, I may not, I want that, you know, I want that part of it, right? But all that part makes up who you are today. And I think that's the beautiful part of life. Right now you sit here today and you're able to share your story and say, look, you did all of this, right? But one thing I want to ask you, through all of this, all the story that you just shared, if you had to put one word, and it's probably hard, right? But if you had to put one word to just your life, the journey that you went on, what would you put to, what word would it be and why?
Man, Jamie, you couldn't give me this one before I came here.
Just think about it, but and you may have just reflected, right? More than you ever done.
No, you're right. I just gave you a testimony.
Yeah. But just think about it. If you could put one word to this whole experience, right? Oh, these years, all the ups and downs, the cheerleading, dude saying, come cheerlead, the dad saying, hey, brother, get up out of here. And then the brother telling you to come
Jamie.
run.
So listen, it unpredictable.
I like it. Why?
Unpredictable.
Unpredictable. Yeah. Talk to me. Why unpredictable?
You think you can, right. I had the formula.
Yeah.
It's predictable.
Mm-hmm.
It's not predictable. Life moments are unpredictable. And so how do you face that? What's unpredictable when I'm doing endurance racing, right? When my nutrition's down and I feel like I need to give up, what are you going to do to overcome that? You didn't plan for that. Mm-hmm. Same in business, leading the bank. Mm-hmm. There's a problem, serious problems. How do you overcome that? There's unpredictable moments. So how you face that moment it's really a testimony for who you are. So I guess that's a good word.
Yeah, unpredictable. I think that fits great into what you said, right? You probably in your mind try to think, somebody has the word, you say like,
now I'm going to go home. I'm going to go home and go, you know what? I should have
said that word. But one thing I want, as we're wrapping up, right? I can't leave here without having this conversation, right?
Yeah.
So all this years of experience, I would do this platform and this service if I don't ask you about leadership, right?
Sure.
You talked about this road that you opted into, and obviously you elevated since the gentleman that allowed you to be who you are today. But I want to even just get your mind frame. When you hear the word leadership, what does that even mean to you?
Yeah, leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay. And that comes from John Maxwell. So if you know John Maxwell, he's going to be here Friday, by the way. Are you going?
I'll be there.
Okay, I'll be there too. Our team will be there as well. So I'm a big fan of John Maxwell. I read a lot of his books. I read a lot of other leadership books, but leadership is a lot of things. But influencing is one of those things. And I love either listening to books or reading books about leadership and just giving me content for my team and our culture. Mm-hmm. And it's my job to lift them up, right? Lift up my team. And as a leader, I'm evolving now. So this is my 6th year as a leader. Mm-hmm. And just like anything, I look back 5 years ago and I go, I didn't know what I was doing, right? Yeah. And I'm just trying to get better. Like I said, you have to have a plan you just can't jump into these things and do them. You've got to every day work on yourself. And so reading books, listening to leaders in our community will help me be a better leader. Yeah. Me be a better person and a leader to my team. Yeah. So
give me 3, if not 3, how many 1, 2, 3, whatever books that you will recommend to our viewers to watch that have helped you
Yeah, I'd read Atomic Habits. Last 2 years ago, I had our team read it. I read it, and then I had our team read it. And it talks about exactly kind of what I was talking about with when you're doing, how do you either create new habits or stop bad ones. Super good book. Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people listening to this know the book, but read that book. That's a good one. Never Split the Difference. Never Split the Difference was interesting. Sometimes you're like, read a book, I'm like, what was that book about? But Never Split the Difference was a good book. And always Start with Why. Start with Why by Simon Sinek. That was really one of my favorite and something I lead with our team. Now you've got to know your why. Everybody knows how they do things and what they do, but very few know why they do it. And if you can figure out that why, you can overcome any how. Really. And that's hard. Why do you wake up every day, Jamie? Why do I wake up? Why does our team come to work every day? Anyway, so that's a great book. Start with Why.
Yeah, it's important. So one thing about your role, I want to ask you again, because the mindset thing. So you have this role, the title looks great, but I do want to ask you, like, what's the hardest part of your current role, if any, and did you ever see yourself being here?
I never saw myself being here. Again, I didn't have that vision of, I'm going to be that. The hardest part is delegating and letting others do the things that you think you might be able to do better, right? But if you're going to think big, you've got to let people do, right? And let them succeed or fail. It's okay, but you've got to do that to be able to do. I need to do the bigger things. I can't get caught in the little stuff because I got to think bigger. And so to me, that's the most challenging part for me, is because I want to help everybody and I want to do it. I'm an action guy. And sometimes I think I can do it better. That's just me. I think a lot of people are that way, but anyway,
I'm that way for sure. But one thing you talked about earlier, and this is a good way to, kind of exit, but you talked about that funeral moment, right?
Yeah.
And the person describing you saying that's me. I'm pretty sure if this guy showed up to that funeral, you wouldn't feel that way. But obviously not being morbid, but thinking about legacy, right?
Right.
That what am I leaving here? My question is, do you think about legacy, and how do you want to be remembered?
Yeah, that's a good question. So now, I don't think about it because I don't want to think about it, but I would hope that obviously people say a lot more than, what I thought they would say 20 years ago, 15 years ago, but, he left an impact on people's lives. He inspired people. He made everybody happier, those types of things. Legacy, I don't know, obviously my children mean the world to me. My girls are my heart, and so that's my legacy, and my wife Erin, and our life, and our friendships. I tell Erin, these are the best years of it's unfortunate it takes this long sometimes to realize that these are the best years of your life. Our life it's too bad it took this long to get to here. At 56 years old. But sometimes it takes that long. Some people never find it. Never find it.
Never get there, brother.
But these are the best years of our lives. I love my wife, Erin. We have a great wife. We have a great life. And we're going to work hard, inspire people, change people's lives, and also along the way, experience life, travel, do difficult things, a hike, bike, do it all. Experience life,
do hard things. You got to get healed up first before we get into that. But what I'm gonna ask you, brother. So if you see the podcast, right? EL2A Podcast, Exposure Leads to Access. Even looking at our logo, you see this gentleman pulling the chains, and what I hear in your story, there was a moment when those chains got free, and that's what I hope when people watch your episode, watch the episodes that something is said that breaks the chains, right? The exposure to you, right? And the question I have for you is, like, what moment, when you think about exposure, like, what did exposure do for you in your life?
Exposure in what fashion?
Yeah. So
Maybe.
in experience, right? So when I think of exposure, you told me about the gentleman taking you to Pittsburgh, right? That was exposure, right? That's a moment you were exposed to something you didn't know,
Right.
And you experienced that. You coming back down here and going to all the various places, though that's exposure, right? So exposure is usually an experience, getting exposed to an experience that you didn't know, but it changed you, right? So again, more so, even if I had to answer the question.
Yeah, no, right. No, there's a lot, but again, and I don't mean to keep going back to being an Ironman, but that moment of crossing the finish line, and the slogan is anything is possible, and most people say I could never do that, but you can do that. You can do that. I did it, and you don't have to look like me to do it. There's all shapes and sizes. There's people with limbs missing. There's people who have issues that finish Ironman, but coming across that Ironman, their slogan is anything is possible, and they come across and they say, Nick Blaser, you are an Ironman. You can never take that away, and that feeling of doing that, and that's why I did it every year for the last 10 years, and I took it to another level because, I love breaking those chains and barriers. I always wanted to be fast, and it wasn't just doing it. The first year is just doing it, just finish it. Then it was, I want to be good at it, and I want to be the best at it, and I went to the Ironman World Championships. I was an all-world athlete for 4 years. I had, Boston Marathon. So all these things came out of that guy asking me to do a 5K. Right?
That's powerful. I'll tell you this, brother. I
Crazy.
appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
You think about a journey of someone sitting down and saying, I just didn't know. Like, I never had the aspirations. Like, I never had this thing that I wanted to be. You went through life journey basically with a blank canvas, just trying to figure it out, right? And during your journey, you started being obedient, right? That's obedience is a big part of our life, right? Your friend, the people that came and you listening and opted into those experiences and just going through the human experience, brother. And it's a beautiful thing to see. So I hope the folks that watches, man, take this in, and because everybody's going through their own journey, but somebody has the dad that comes to them and say, hey, brother, get up out of here, but they choose to stay, right? Or the buddy that says, come to the cheerleading thing, and you say, hey, cheerleading ain't for me, I ain't doing that, bump that, and they don't do those experiences, right? So I hope through conversations like these, the folks that's watching, man, you choose. There's signs that come and go. There's opportunities that come and go. They may not look in the form that we expect them to look, but you got to be open to it, man. So I greatly appreciate you for coming and sharing your story, brother. It truly meant a lot.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and hopefully I've inspired, just one person. That's all it takes. But I appreciate this. Thanks, Jamie.
So hey, you all on the other side of this camera, stop what you're doing. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Beautiful episode of just the human experience, right? That's what I noted down too. It usually doesn't go the way we think it's going to go, right? But through it all, are you going to give up, right? Are you going to stop? Are you going to give up? Or are you going to keep going? And this is a testament of keep going, putting one foot in the other, and just figuring it out. So stop what you're doing, like, subscribe, and comment. And yeah, man, I actually always allow our guests to finish these episodes. So what I want you to do, look over there in your camera, right? And I want you to think about this, right? The stuck, that feeling you felt when you felt stuck, right? You felt unhappy, you felt unfulfilled,
right?
The other person on the side of this camera may feel the same way. If Nick Blaser, right, you're going to be looking him in the eye, but if you had a chance to sit right in front of somebody that felt the way you felt, what would you say to him? And we'll close the episode out like that.
Yeah, I would just say communicate in every aspect of your life, in your relationship, even if it's difficult in your profession. High level of communication. Many of us aren't good communicators. We just aren't. We're scared, we're nervous, but be a good communicator.
Be a good communicator, man. Hey, I appreciate y'all for watching, man. We'll see y'all next time.